live. We will see, because I couldn't see it a minute ago. So maybe it'll pop up now. Okay, it popped up that I am live. Listen, this is an impromptu live. I didn't even know I was going to do that. If this is your first time here, welcome to Hood Parenting. I am Yashika Foster, a self-actualization and a life strategist. And today I just wanted to have a conversation, okay? Because sometimes things come up and the pomp and circumstances aren't necessary. In other words, I don't need to get all dolled up and all pretty up and sit in front of a camera and talk about what's going on. Sometimes it's just best to just talk about things, because things come to me and that things happen in the world because I talk to people or I hear about things, or if it's things in my own life that aligns up, then I know that these are things that's going on in a lot of people's lives and it should be addressed. Because why? This is hood parenting. Hood parenting is us taking those things that we've learned, those things that we've been through, those trials and tribulations, and taking them and making them to something that we can leave legacy. So when we're doing that, we're also talking about healing. We're also talking about forgiveness. We're also talking about resolution. We're also talking about trauma, healing from trauma and things like that. So this is what we do here. This is what I do here on this platform, Hood Parenting. And so today I was sitting here putting some lights on my dresser because I don't want it to be so mundane. And so they had these little bitty screws or whatever where I can, you know, just drill it in, and I want to just put them on this thing because when I'm live, I just feel like I need more light. So I got some halogen lights now with a tripod, and I have this light. So it just seems like I need more light. This room only has one window in it, and I feel like I need more light. It's on the end of my house, and so the way the house is, sun doesn't shine in this room too often, so I don't have a lot of light. And so anyway, I was sitting here and I was putting this light on this dresser. And so I wanted to have a conversation about when we are going through things in our families. And a lot of times when we are going through things in our families, we have to remember that when we pass down traits, when we're passed down, like when we have babies, right? And that child comes out looking like somebody, or you know how you have that one person in your family that might come with, when they're born, they may have a different eye color than everybody else, or they may have something that's a little different about them than anybody else, right? And then the older folks will say, well, that's passed down from this generation, or, we had a little bit of this in our family. So, y'all know how it's done, right? Especially in a minority family. I don't know if it happens in other families, but I do know that it happens in Black families, right? So we have to remember that when we pass down traits, when we pass down things to our kids, when kids inherit certain characteristics from each other, from generations before, it's not just the eye color, right? It's not just all of a sudden now that kid, hey, they got this from so and so, or their complexion, or their talent, or they remind me of this, because I'm told all the time about the people that I remind people of, right, in my family. So I get it. But we have to remember also that when things are passed down, it's not just those characteristics that we can see. It's not just those eye colors. It's also those traumas. It's also those things that weren't so good, weren't so bad, right? One thing that I do know that's passed down sometimes in families is jealousy, right? It seems like it's almost like, you'll have this thing between genders, between generations. And it's almost like you see it from generations to generations. So we, as the generation that's in charge of changing some things or helping to, make sure that it's right, so that our kids won't go through the same thing. Because remember, this journey that we have in life is not just about how much money we can make. It's not just about, okay, so who gets to the bag first? Who's the richest in the family? Who did this or who did that? I probably should have took this rug up first. It's just not those things, right? It's just not who's the richest and who's this and who's that. When you are tasked with things in life that you're responsible for in your family, it also comes with some of the things that you don't want to be responsible for. And some of those things are eliminating certain things that went on in our families. I remember when, for me, I never wanted to have a daughter. And let me make sure that I don't leave the screen. I never wanted to have a daughter. Okay. I never wanted to have a daughter when I was having children because I always felt that the women in my family, um, from what I saw in their daughters, had very tumultuous relationships. And so I've said this many a times. And so for me, because I didn't see an example, I didn't see too many healthy relationships with women and their daughters, not just in my family. I could see where my dog had been in my office. God rest her soul. Um, she must have come up in here one day. I gotta get this up. It was up under that carpet. Well, anyway, it's not just we pass those things down. We pass things that it's like we pass down that it's like generational, right? It's like, why do we pass those things down to our kids? It's like I remember just listening to just conversations that was had when I was a kid, but I didn't want girls. I never wanted girls. I never wanted girls because in my mind, I felt like I couldn't do anything different than what I had been seeing in my life, in terms of the way the women were with their daughters and the relationships that they had. So in my mind, I wasn't going to be anybody different. There was no way that who am I to change something or do something different, right? In that aspect, because, well, the solution to that, like this was my mind. This is how I thought as a kid. In my mind, I'm thinking, you know what? The solution to that is I just won't have no daughters, right? If I don't have any daughters, then I don't have to worry about having a tumultuous relationship with my daughters. But of course, we all know that we don't get to choose. I mean, you can with science these days, but for the most part, we weren't doing science when I was trying to conceive my children, right? We weren't doing anything that was scientific or anything like that. Okay. So of course I didn't know, what the gender of my kids were going to be, but I just knew that I didn't want girls. And I didn't want girls because I didn't think that I could change the relationship between what women were going through in my family and they was experiencing with their daughters. And so I was like, I just won't have any girls, and that was my solution to a problem that I seen as a young girl. That was my solution. My solution was I just won't have daughters. And if I don't have daughters, then I don't ever have to worry about whether or not our relationships are good or bad. I'll just have sons. I mean, I ended up having sons in terms of who I gave birth to, without a doubt. But I also have three daughters that I didn't give birth to, but I do have girls. And so my youngest girl, of course, is in my family. Um, she was someone, that was in my family. I didn't give birth to her, but she's my second cousin by birth, that I took on because her mother wasn't able to, and she asked me to keep her for a couple of months while she attended rehab, for usage. And at the time, my daughter was 15 days old when I brought her home. I didn't know I was going to bring her home. It was like a sudden thing. And and so I said to myself that, was this God's way of saying, well, here you are. You are going to fix this problem from the inside out, since you never wanted a daughter and you never wanted to experience that. So how about I give you a daughter in your family? And so, like I said, my my daughter is my second cousin by birthright, that I've adopted. And I'm killing this thing. That the wall's coming off. I must got too much stuff in here. I'm pushing it back. I didn't even realize that. Well, she's my second cousin, and I have adopted her, and she's 11 now. And so, the way I see it, it was God's way of saying, fix things from the inside out. Since you don't want to have a daughter because you feel like, you maybe genetically you wouldn't be able to. Okay, so I'm going to give you a daughter from here since you didn't have one because I didn't have any more kids, and I'm sure, But he said, here's the thing, we're going to do it this way. And so my daughter is, like I said, my cousin, and not only that, but she's my mother's youngest sister's granddaughter. She's actually my mother's youngest sister granddaughter because that's her daughter's daughter. And so yeah, and so I feel that that was part of my task in this life was, and I don't know if I'm doing it right. I'll never know if I'm doing it right. I know that my daughter is her own person. And like, even with this right here that I'm doing right now, I asked her, I said, hey, because I was putting up, lights, and she's 11, she's on the phone with her friends and stuff. And I asked her, I said, hey, would you help me put the lights on? And so she's sitting like she didn't want to help me put the lights on. And so on my dresser, because I'm thinking by it being these lights that kids typically use, that she would enjoy doing this, helping me put this on, right? So that way we could just do something together or whatever. So she's sitting there with her lip poked out and like she didn't want to do it. And so I said to her, hey, if you don't want to help me put this up, you don't have to. I'm not going to force you to do something that you don't want to do. So she sat there for about 10 seconds and she thought about it and she says, okay. And she walked off to let me know that she didn't want to do it. And so, because I am who I am, and I waited a minute and I politely went into her bedroom and I let her know, hey, do you understand that this works both ways? This works both ways. So there are things that you gonna ask me to do for you that I'm not gonna want to do. And now that I know that we're at that position and that age, because you're 11, about to go to junior high now, you don't want to do it, and you feel like, well, I'm not going to, and you can't make me, and I'm not going to make you because I want you to know that in this world, you get to live your life how you want to live your life. You get to do things how you want to do things, but understand whatever you do, if you violate any laws, any rules, any policies, or anything like that, it could have consequences that you can't deal with, right? Like my mother used to say, you mess around here and write a check that your ass can't cash. So, hey, live your life how you want to live it, right? Who am I to tell you what not to do? Because I already know that when you get up to some age, right, you're gonna be really living your life. I already know this. I know you're gonna be really living your life. And what am I gonna be able to tell you? Because why? We're 4 decades apart. We're 4 decades apart. So by the time she's of age, what is it that I will be able to tell her in terms of living her life? Now, can I tell her things about, hey, doing this and doing that and making choices and things like that? Yeah. But in the most part, she's gonna believe that I don't know nothing. No matter what I say to her, she's going to have that attitude that because of my age and because I'm older, I don't understand and I don't know nothing. And you know how I know that's true? I hear it from my son already. I hear it from my 30-year-old. My 30-year-old tells me, Mama, you don't understand. It's hard out here. Life is hard, paying bills, rent $1,100. I said, son, I understand that. But at the same time, y'all are getting paid $8, $9, $12, $13 to work at Kentucky Fried Chicken. You can get paid $13. I'm not saying you want to go there, but what I am saying is that I get it. I get it, but the economy is the economy. I can't do anything. But not only that, but when I was living in a place where my rent was maybe one third of that, right, $500 or so, we were making $3.35. Minimum wage was $3.35. So if you got a job and that's all you making, right? $400 for rent or $500 for rent back then, and plus all the other things was expensive. So things go up with time. And so again, he's one of those people that he feels as though I don't get it. Right? I had him at 22. We're 2 decades apart. So in his mind, I don't get it. No, son, I do get it. You just don't understand that you don't have time to half-ass this life. And that's the problem with people. People want to half-ass life, and then when things don't go their way, they're mad. They want to try to keep you small. And that's why I bring up the subject that I bring up about, even when it comes to trauma in family and things like that. One thing that I'm learning in this life that people have to be okay with is that there's going to be things that you're going to do. There's going to be places that you're going to go. There's going to be experiences that you're going to have in this life. places you're going to go, things you're going to do, experiences you're going to have in this life. Not everybody going to come with you. Not everybody's going to come with you. And unfortunately, this means family and friends. This could mean foes. This could mean whatever, right? Family, friends, foes, whoever, right? Husband, wife. Not everybody is going to be able to come with you. And so some people will tell you, hey, you acting like you this, you acting like you that. It may be true. You may be in delusion, right? You may be in a lot of things. But the way you know you're not is if you look around, right? Because a lot of times we are measured by our success. We're measured by the things that we can show and prove, like again in my office, right? So the things that we can show and prove about life, people are measured by that. Well, you drive a fancy car, that much means you got some money. You dress nice, that much means you got some money. Okay, so because if you don't show up like that, then people will have a different opinion about you. So if we live in a world of show and prove, the way you know that you're moving in the right direction, if it's the people that's trying to tell you, hey, you think you're all that, look at where they are in life. And unfortunately, and I say unfortunately, because sometimes this is not foes that's doing this. They could be family. This could be friends. People that you thought was going to go with you, that's not going to go with you. Not everybody's going to go with you. Where you going? And so, like I said, the way you measure yourself, because those people that's telling you, you think you this, you think you that, you measure yourself by those people. And you say, well, you know what? Let me see now. Okay, I ain't saying I'm all that. I ain't did that. You think I'm all that. But what I'm not going to do is try to shrink to make you feel comfortable. Or you got to remind me of this or remind me of that. Because again, when things are passed down, they're passed down from generations. And so if you are in charge of breaking certain curses or certain traumas that's in your family, a lot of these people don't even recognize that there's issues there. Some in your own family don't even recognize that the way you are behaving is trauma that I know for a fact that's passed down. Trauma that I know for a fact that you experienced. And so now you trying to make somebody else experience that because of the way that somebody made you, because of the way that somebody made you feel, right? And that's unfortunate because that happens. That happens in families. That happens in families all the time. And it's a sad realization, right? But at the same time, it is a realization that it's a sad realization, but at the same time, it's a realization that you have to know that it exists. And if you are in charge of changing things in your family, if you are in charge of being that person that did something different, or you know that you're on a different road to where you thought you were going to go, or you on this adventure and you looking at life like, you know what? I'm the one that got out, or I'm the one that this, or I'm the one that that. And then you'll have people saying things to you to make you feel some kind of way, right? Let me tell you something. You got to ignore those people. You got to ignore those people. No matter who those people are. No matter who those people are, I might need a battery. No matter who those people are, you have to ignore those people. Because one thing I know about the devil is when you are on a mission and you know it's divine and your mission is divine, what you're supposed to do in this world. In other words, you walking in your absolute purpose. You doing exactly what you know you are supposed to be doing. There are going to be people that's going to come for you. There's going to be people that's going to try to make you shrink. There's going to be people that's going to try to offload their trauma on you. There's going to be people that's going to come looking like angels, but they're not. And some of these people are in your family. Some of these people are your closest, whatever, right? And it's unfortunate. But what you have to do is that you have to stay true to who you are. That's what I'm going to tell you. You have to stay true to who you are. And I know sometimes it's hard, and sometimes staying true to who you are is sometimes also meaning that you have to be the bigger person, even when things are not the way they're supposed to go. You have to be the bigger person all times. Because if that's being true to who you are and you know that your life is on elevation, people will try to bring you here because they'll see you shining. They'll see you out here in the world doing your thing. Because if you out here elevating, trust me, people see you. So they'll see you out here doing your thing, living your happiness. And they will try to look at it like, Ain't no way she could be that happy. And so they will make it their mission. Maybe they do it intentionally, maybe not. People don't even know they're doing it. But like I said, if it's trauma that hasn't been healed in that person, they're going to try to bring it on you. And when they try to bring it on you, it's going to be one of those things like, wait a minute, why are you acting this way? I don't deserve this. I'm not the enemy. But what it is that, again, you are chosen. If you know that you are to elevate, if you know you are to elevate your family, your life, and you are on a different mission, and you are on a different purpose, and you know your stuff is divinely guided, and you know that you can sleep well at night because you haven't burnt the candle at both ends, you haven't robbed Peter to pay Paul, you've done what you're supposed to more. You give back, you work for others. Your main purpose in this world is for the sake of others. Then yes, then God, then yourself. No, first God, then others, then yourself. That's how that goes. First God, you serve God first, then you serve others, and then you serve yourself. That's how that goes. So if you know that it goes like that, you serve God, you serve others, and then you serve yourself or whoever your higher power is. If you know that your mission is divinely guided, don't you let anybody throw you off. There's going to be people that's going to show up in your life, people who have already been in your life. They're there to test you because you're given tests all the time. You're given tests all the time. And you don't even know. I can't believe they gave me this without a battery. Right? Includes one battery. Well, where's the battery? Where's the battery? I don't see no battery. Where's the battery? Nope, they're saying it had a battery. I don't see a battery. There's not a battery. Nope, I don't see a battery. And if it's in here, then why is it not coming on? Oh, there you go. Okay, a battery is in there. It turned red. So what I'm saying to you is that when you have those people coming at you, you have to stay true to who you are. And that's how you continue on with your life's mission and your life's purpose. And the reason why you stay true to who you are is because it's just like anything else. If you are adjusting yourself or changing who you are or trying to satisfy this person and try to satisfy this person, then you're lost in who you are. You are seriously lost in who you are because you're too busy trying to satisfy everybody. You got to walk in your purpose. Walking in your purpose, being self-actualized, means that you know exactly what it is you're supposed to do. And it's almost like, listen, everybody else either get on board or get off. And that's how I look at it. There was this thing in the army that we used to say. We say, leave, follow, or get the F out the way. Leave, follow, or get the heck out the way. Because what you're not going to do is stop me. And you have to have that kind of attitude. Lead, follow, or get the heck out the way. Because when you think about it, right, if you're moving the way you're supposed to and you're doing what you're supposed to do, you're going to have a lot of people. And it's unfortunate. You're going to have a lot of people. And you're not going to know who they are, what they look like, or nothing. Right? And then people going to say, you know what? And you're going to probably look at yourself and say, well, you know what? Am I moving like this? Am I being like this? Right? You're going to ask yourself. Because a good person, a good leader, a person that's self-actualized understands that there's always room for improvement. So when people are telling you things, you have to sit back and say, okay, am I? But then you look around because what I know about this world is that it will always leave signs. There's always something, little trinkets that's being left along your path to let you know you are on the right path. They call those things a ram in a bush, right? A ram in a bush. Remember when God gave him a ram in a bush so he wouldn't, sacrifice his son? He gave him a ram to sacrifice instead. So that's how that works, right? It's a ram in a bush. So there's always something. He's going to provide for you one way or the other, whatever you believe in. And I'm not preaching. What I do know, and I'm not doing anything, I know about the way the world sets us up, the way life is. When you are doing what you are supposed to do, you're not harming nobody. You're not out here deceiving nobody. You're not burning the candle at both ends. You are going to have people that come at you, right? Because they see you. Listen, people want to. It's almost like that thing when they say crabs in a bucket, right? Crabs in a bucket is one of those things that's alive and well. I don't care care who you are. I don't care where you come from. If you get in a group of things, because remember, in this world, nobody wants to be by themselves. You want to have a very, very balanced life. You want to have friends. You want to have a relationship. You want to have this. You want to have that. You want to have your family ties. You want to have a balanced life. You know what I'm saying? You want to be able to go, you want to have a balanced life. You want to have this group of friends, like you want to have everything. And I get it. So you try to hold on to those things that give you that well-rounded because you want to have a balanced life. But what I'm saying to you is that unfortunately, that might be what you want, but everybody ain't aligned like that. Everybody's not aligned in knowing that this is good for the soul. Having people that you can unite with is good for the soul, right? Because I don't understand that, especially in families. I don't understand why everybody works against each other instead of with each other. That is the part that blows my mind. I see it all the time, right? Because here's the thing: it's rough out here trying to do your life alone. It's rough out here trying to do life by yourself. And what I mean by yourself is trying to be where you don't have no friends, you don't have no children around. You wanna just be out here. It's rough trying to do life alone. I've heard people go live on the internet, and I remember specifically this one guy, and I felt so bad for him. I did, because he had just lost his sister. And he said, I realized that I don't have anybody else left in life. He said because his parents or something, if I remember correctly, were only children or something like that, or there were no cousins. And his parents came together and had him and his sister. Well, his parents had transitioned, and then now his sister, and of course his grandparents was transitioned, and he didn't have any aunts and uncles. So he's like, I'm in this world by myself. And so when you think about that, nobody wants to be in a world by themselves. Nobody. I'm not saying you want to put your burdens on anybody or anything like that. But like I said, you have your people in your life for different things. It is such a good feeling to spend a holiday with family, right? Such a good feeling to come together for a holiday or for a reunion or something like that, a celebration, right? Same thing with your friends. It's good to get together and celebrate certain things, or get together to catch up, and it's good to have those different groups of dynamics. It's good to have the person you love, your person, that when everything else is going on in the world, you can go with that person and you can shut everything out. It's just you and that person. Like, who doesn't want that? Everybody wants that. And you want everything to be harmony. You want everything to be in sync. You want to be able to spread yourself with everybody. Why? Because being self-actualized means that you get to do those things. To walk in your purpose means that you are a well-rounded person. You're not exempt from anything. You bring all of you to the table. And so because you bring all of you to the table, all of you want to be loved. All of you want to have a connection with somebody. I don't care what part it is. You have those family ties, those people that are constantly in your life. Because see, the difference between the family tie and relationship, or in a relationship, or friends, you can walk away from those people, right? If a relationship is not going well, or you feel like it's not what you need or what you're putting into, you have that option, right? No matter how we feel about, doing this or doing that, it's still an option. Okay. If you're married to someone and life is not good, or you're dating someone, you have the option. You can go on about your business. Okay. Go on about your business. Don't have to deal with that person anymore. However, when it's dealing with family, you don't have that option. It's almost like, okay, you have to ask yourself, what is it that I'm trying to learn? Because I know some people will take their family and not have anything to do with them, right? Not have anything to do with them, and pretty much have a distance. And I've heard people say, well, I haven't talked to my parents in X amount of years. And to each his own. And for the sake of your peace, for a person's peace, I 100% get it. I 100%. This thing is so heavy. Oh, God. Oh, shit. Please don't break. Okay. So I 100% get it. I 100% get it when people don't want to talk to family and loved ones. And it's one of those things where they're like, you know what? I'm better off not dealing with this person, because if I deal with the person, then I'm going to be this and I'm going to be that. But then that's not the resolution, because what ends up happening is, what if that person gets in a position where they can no longer talk, or you get in a position where you no longer can talk, or you guys can no longer resolve whatever issues you have. So then that's one of those things that now, right? Because anything can happen. You could transition, that person could transition, or what if they become where incapacitated, where they can't have an understanding, right? What if Alzheimer's kicking in, or a stroke happen, or in other words, life can deal you anything at any time. So we put things off, right? When we need these, we need to have this. Are there people that say, no, you don't? Yeah, there are people in this world that say, nope, you don't need those things. But if you are somebody that grew up in that environment, and that's something that you know that you need, and you have to, you know that you need, and you know that you are responsible for certain things, right? You know you need this. You know you need this. There's some people that hardens themselves where they can say, well, you know what? I can't miss what I never had, or whatever they do. Then there's other people that say, you know what, this is part of who I am and I need this. So when we have that, we're part of the people that's responsible for fixing some things, changing some things. So you remember that when we are having children and things are passed down, all things are passed down, to include trauma. And trauma looks different ways. And so when you task with certain things, and you're that person that you know for a fact that you're supposed to do things because why? You know that it's divinely ordered. Don't let nobody stand in your way. Don't let anybody tell you different. Okay? Don't let anybody tell you different. Don't let anybody stand in your way. And I can't express that to you enough. Because what I know about this is that when you do that, when you actually put off your desires and who you are and what you want to do, because you're trying to play small, because you're trying to keep yourself with the people that want to keep you, you end up getting yourself sick. Those things causes cancers. Those things causes illnesses that we can't get rid of, and sicknesses and stuff, right? Because that's trauma. That's not trauma. That's things that want to come out in you. So next thing you know, it comes out in other ways, right? It comes out in other ways. Those are things that's in you that comes out in other ways if you don't do what you're supposed to do with those gifts and with those talents that you've been given. What you're supposed to do with those talents and gifts that you've been given, they come out in other ways. So what I'm saying to you is that you can't afford to play small in this life. You are supposed to do exactly what you're supposed to do. I once heard somebody say, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. I once heard somebody say that. Now they was talking about something different, right? We both at the hospital, and she said that. She said, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. But I also knew that when she said that, she just wasn't talking about that one thing. That was a lesson for many things in life. If you don't use it, you'll lose it. So sometimes, even when it comes to people and their voices, and they know they have a gift, their voice, or they have the gift to share their story, share your story. Get out, listen, do what you got to do. Be that person. Don't let nobody let you play small. Make play small. You keep being that person. You keep showing up for you. You keep showing up. You keep doing what you're doing, and I don't give a crap who it is. Whoever that person is trying to tell you to keep you there. Like I said, sometimes the devil was once an angel too, and so they look pretty, right? They look like they love you, but love don't keep you small. So people don't know how to love, right? And so love looks different for everybody, and you have to remind that. But all I do know is that you have to tell people, stand up for yourself, because what I won't do in life is allow somebody to run over me or make me feel some kind of way. I feel sorry for the fact that when people do that, even when there's people that I love or people that you may love or whatever, what I say is, I'm sorry that you can't experience me the way the world experienced me, because I'm an amazing person. And so every time you force me away because you want to stay in this trauma that I know is passed down and you don't want to heal from it, you don't want to go through it, that pushes me further away. Because why? I'm going to continue to be the person who I am. I'm going to continue to love you and respect you and do all the things that need to be done. But I also have to protect myself first. No matter how much I love somebody, I love myself more, no matter how much it is. And so for me, that means that, hey, I'm going to still do right. But I know you're dealing with some things, and I'm going to continue to deal with you the way I've been dealing with you. Whatever it is, you have to tell that person to get through to them. But you have to be the one to respect your space and pour into yourself. And don't let anybody try to make you play small. If you know you're supposed to do some things in this life, you go and do it. Because if you're not, you'll look up and you'll be like, what happened? Where did the time go? What happened to the person that I said I wanted to be? And so I don't know who this is for, but what I do know is it's for somebody. But you have to keep going. Don't let anyone let you play small or try to make you play small. I had a husband like that one time, and I got rid of his ass. That's another story. Okay? I'm just saying. Okay? So I don't know who this is for, but I know it's for somebody. Listen, go ahead and share this video, tag a friend, subscribe, like, put a comment down below, or tell me, listen, does this hit home? Is this something that you can understand or relate to? Take care of you. Do what you got to do. Don't let anybody try to steal your life from you. I don't care who it is, right? You get one life. It's only your life. You get one life, and it's only your life. That's it. You got to live it. Don't have no regrets, right? So talk to you guys in the next slide. Bye.